know, people keep telling me about Ori and the Blind Forest, saying that it's heartbreaking and it's gonna make you sad and I'm 26 goddamn years old. I'm not gonna cry over a video game. Naru, Ori, can they have just been happy? Good evening, my name is Jack Stone and you are watching Experience Bar, the home of video game inspired cocktails on Tinternet. Because anyone who manages to survive a water level, they deserve a drink. So today we're going to be fulfilling a fan request by Redditor Oberyn Melonlord. Top marks for name there, let me tell you. But they also made a great suggestion in the form of Ori and the Blind Forest. So Ori and the Blind Forest is this game that I always point people towards whenever we're discussing, hey, can video games be art? It has everything that a platformer needs to be considered a good platformer. It has great level design, it has great mechanics, it has all of that stuff. But more than that, it's also got great visuals and a great soundtrack. It's a legitimately beautiful game that you feel like you can sit back, even if you're not playing, and just watch and appreciate. So when I came up with this drink, which I call the Spirit Light, I knew that I had to create a drink that reflected that warmth, that comfort, that safety, that catharsis that Ori and the Blind Forest manages to exude. So I came up with this one, a rum-based flip, kind of, that you can feel spreading from the tips of your fingers to the bottom of your toes. Let's get started. So, for the Spirit Light, you are going to need a Boston shaker filled with ice. For this drink, I am going to be using two different shakers, which I'll explain at the time. But for the time being, get your Boston shaker halfway filled with ice and 2 ounces of spiced rum. I am using Captain Morgan's, which has a very distinct vanilla note. So if you're going to use any other spiced rum, make sure it has that in there. It makes a big difference. We are going to follow that up with an ounce of pineapple juice and half an ounce of maple simple syrup. Not just maple syrup, maple simple syrup. That's just 50-50 syrup and water, and use half an ounce of that in this drink. And the most notable part of this drink is we're also going to be using egg white. There we go. The reason I'm using a Boston shaker for this one is because I prefer a shaker that doesn't explode on me. And the way that shakers work is that when you've got the ice in them, they create that seal in a Boston shaker. So for this drink, I'm going to use a Boston shaker only when we're using the ice. Okay, so. It's still exploding on me a little bit. That's okay. The egg drinks do tend to have that effect, and so do shakers that do this. This is why you should always buy a good shaker. Important. But we managed to get there, and you can see, or you won't be able to see, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of foam at the bottom there. That is the emulsification of the egg. Now, with other drinks, you might shake it once, and that's it, you're done. However, with this drink, we are going to strain it out, going to get rid of the ice, and pop it in the cobbler shaker. And once we've got a little bit of that extra foam coming out, there we go, we are going to give it another shake in the Boston shaker. Now, this doesn't have any ice in it, so if I were to try and shake that in the Boston, it would just explode everywhere. And I can tell you from experience, that isn't fun. But with a cobbler, you don't have to worry about that so much. So, with this, you have to really shake it for a really, really long time, and also very hard. Whew. There aren't many drinks that you get a workout at the same time, let me tell you. Once you've got that, you just need to take your flip glass, because this is technically not a flip, but it has egg in it, and you'll see why we're using this particular flask in a moment. There we go, look at that. All that beautiful foam coming out at the top there. You'll see the drink is beginning to settle as well. Look at that. Not a drop wasted there. So, you'll see that the drink is beginning to settle. This is the result of the foam slowly moving up the glass, but before that, you want to take your nutmeg, powdered nutmeg, or fresh nutmeg if you've got it. I don't. And just tip, 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 tip. Over the top. And there you have the Spirit Light. a rum-based egg drink inspired by Ori and the Blind Forest. Look at that head of the foam. Now, some very good bartenders can get it right down to there, but I don't have the time or the inclination to try and do that, or the skill, to be honest. I personally like it with that bit of inch about of foam, so you actually get to the drink without having to dip your nose in. But that's enough talking about it. Cheers. This is actually one of the favorite drinks that I've made on this show. The egg creates this big mouthfeel for the drink, so it doesn't just create the foam, it also thickens up the rest of the drink. But before you even get into the liquid part, you get this hit of nutmeg. The spiced rum flows up through the popping bubbles, so you smell it before you actually taste it, and it smells sweet. It smells warming. The maple syrup gives this kind of woodsy depth of flavor, and the pineapple introduces this interesting tropical note. It's legitimately a delicious drink. It's like a fresher eggnog. If you ever had an eggnog and you think it's too heavy, this is a really good alternative to that. So thank you, Oberyn Melon Lord, for giving me the opportunity to make this drink. So yeah, there you have it. Thank you so much for joining me. That is the Spirit Light from Ori and the Blind Forest. I have been Jack Stone, and this is Experience Bar. Give us a like and subscribe if you've enjoyed what we've been doing today. Head on over to our Patreon for some exclusive content, and if you've got any suggestions for drinks or games that you'd like to see cocktailized here, let me know in the comments below. Until then, cheers.